So I googled why do Filipinas date or marry foreigners, and you know what the top results said? That we're not attractive enough for Filipino standards. That we're all broke, desperate, and apparently we can't do basic math because we only know how to count dollars, not pesos. I even have a hard time converting them. And here's the kicker. Most of these answers, they came from Filipinos themselves. Now, I could have closed my laptop, made some adobo, and pretended I didn't see that. But after dating Filipino men and now being engaged to a foreigner, I have some thoughts. And before you come for me in the comments, yes, controversial. Yes, not all Filipino men, and yes, I know. But today we're having the honest conversation that nobody wants to have, but everybody is thinking about. So grab your coffee, your Red Bull, or whatever drink you're judging me with, and let's get into it. Hi guys, it's Dee and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here and already judging me from the title, perfect. You're exactly where you need to be. Hit subscribe so you can judge me consistently every week. I promise to keep giving you content that makes you uncomfortable at family gatherings. So, real talk, when I started researching this topic, I wasn't expecting to feel personally attacked by my own people. Reddit threads, Quora answers, Facebook comments. The overwhelming narrative was that Filipinas who date foreigners are somehow lesser, the bottom of the barrel of Philippine society. Now, one comment literally said, "You will never see a beautiful, educated, wealthy Filipina with a foreigner. Only the poor, uneducated ones do that." And look, we've all seen the memes. Another Filipina has escaped poverty. We've seen the 90-day fiancé, we know the stereotypes exist. But here's what's interesting. In 2019 alone, over 10,000 marriages between Filipinas and foreign nationals were registered to the Philippines. So clearly, something is working. And it's not just money or green cards, despite what the keyboard warriors want you to believe. Before we go further, 1. This is not a Filipino men suck video. 2. Toxic is toxic in any language and passport color. There are some great foreign guys, but the dregs of Western society flock here too. 3. This is my experience and this is not a scientific study. And 4. If you're already typing gold digger in the comments, please lang. Hear me out first. Your caps lock can wait. Now let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say the giant foreigner in the room. The stereotypes is that we're after money, we want a green card, we have colonial mentality, and we're selling out our culture, or we're not attractive enough for Filipino men. And honestly, I'm not gonna pretend none of these are true for some people. Of course, there are Filipinas who date foreigners for economic reasons. Of course, some see a foreign partner as a ticket out. But there are also Filipinas who marry rich Filipino men for money. Filipinos who marry foreigners for residency. People everywhere make relationships transactional. So why do we only bring up money when it's a Filipino with a foreigner? It's because of how we view ourselves. We've internalized this idea that we're not good enough, that we're only valuable for what we provide and not for who we are. And that's honestly sad. And this goes deep. 333 years under Spain, 48 years under America, and we've been told for centuries that foreign is superior. So when we see a Filipino with a foreigner, we automatically assume colonial mentality. But what if some Filipinos just found someone who treats them well, respects them, shares their values, and that person just happens to be a foreigner? Okay, let's get into the actual reasons, based on my experience and conversations with other Filipinas in similar relationships. First reason is the emotional maturity and communication. And this was the biggest difference for me personally. Filipino boys grow up hearing, you're a boy, you shouldn't cry. Be strong, be the rock, and don't show weakness. But nobody teaches them how to actually process their emotions. So, what happens? They bottle it up, they drink with the barkada instead of talking, they ghost you instead of having difficult conversations, and they give you the silent treatment for 3 days and expect you to figure out what's wrong. And yes, you heard me right. That's not just a Filipina thing. My fiance, this man will literally sit me down when I'm doing tampo and say, let's talk about what's bothering you, or I felt hurt when you said that earlier. Can we discuss it? And at first, I thought he was being dramatic. I was so used to it's nothing, followed by 3 days of moody silence. But this is healthy communication. This is emotional intelligence, and it changes everything in a relationship. Now, reason two, traditional roles and appreciation of femininity. And this one might surprise you because a lot of foreign men who seek Filipinas actually want traditional. They want to provide, they want a feminine woman who takes care of the home. And yes, not all Filipino men and not all foreign men. I'm generalizing based on patterns I've observed, okay? Okay, so here's the difference. Many Filipino men want traditional wives but expect you to also work full-time, do all the housework, care for his parents, send money to your family from the budget he controls, and be grateful for it. Zero appreciation because it's just your duty. Many foreign men who want traditional, they actually provide enough that you don't have to work. The money is our money and not his allowance to you, but of course there are different circumstances or situations with that. They manage the household together and they say thank you, genuinely and constantly. And I want to be honest, this isn't exclusively a Filipino versus foreigner thing. Women across many cultures say the same. But in the Philippines specifically, you're often working 12-hour days, 6 days a week, and coming home to do everything else. You're exhausted and invisible. A foreign man with Western income gives you choice. You want to be a housewife? You can. You want to keep working? You also can. You want to build a business? He'll support it. And the appreciation part, foreign men who seek Filipinas genuinely love our femininity. They're amazed when you cook from scratch, grateful when you keep a beautiful home, and they tell you you're incredible. Many Filipino men, it's just expected. Your lola did it, your mom did it, so you doing it is nothing special. And that appreciation makes you want to show up. It doesn't feel like a chore, it feels like love. Reason three is financial literacy and stability. Okay, so here's where people say, see, it is about money. But wait, it's not really about how much, it's about how they handle it. Before my fiance, I had one bank account from my BPO days, and that was it. No savings, no understanding of credit cards beyond swipe now, cry later. Thought insurance was a scam. And in the Philippines, most of us learn about money from parents who learned from their parents, and that survival mentality and not really wealth building mentality. My fiance taught me how to actually save, not whatever's left over, but savings first. He helped me understand credit cards, open proper accounts, get insurance, and start investing. We have actual financial goals together. And it's not about him spending money on me. But, it does feel good when he spends money on me. It's about him teaching me to build it with him. We're not in a sugar daddy situation, though sometimes I call him daddy. We're partners working toward the same financial goal. Or financial freedom. That financial literacy is honestly one of the most valuable things anyone's ever given me. Reason number four is the life experience and maturity. A lot of foreign men in the Philippines are older, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they've already lived. They've had careers, traveled, lived alone, made mistakes, learned from them. They know who they are and they know what they want. Compare that to a Filipino man in their 20s, still living with their parents, figuring out their career, partying every weekend, and not sure if they even want to settle down. And, there's really nothing wrong with that because your 20s are for figuring things out. But as a woman who knows what she wants, I don't want to be someone's practice girlfriend. Foreign men who seek Filipinas are usually already past their wild years. They're not finding themselves. They've already found themselves. They're ready. And for a Filipino who's also ready, that alignment is everything. Now, reason five is appreciation, conversation, and connection. And This one sounds shallow, but it's really not, in my opinion, because foreign men are more vocal with appreciation, as I've mentioned earlier. They say, "Thank you for dinner, it was amazing, you look beautiful, and I'm so lucky to have you." On the other hand, Filipinos show love through action. They say, "Let's eat," instead of "I love you." And that's beautiful in its own way, but sometimes I just want to hear it. And the conversations that Filipino guys my age have, they have you eaten? Let's go drink, Netflix and chill. Compare that with this. My fiance and I talk about philosophy, psychology, world politics, childhood traumas, what happens after we die, and if free will even exists. And here's something I'll just leave here. When you feel intellectually stimulated, emotionally connected, and genuinely appreciated by your partner, the bedroom takes care of itself, and then some. When a man actually listens to you, respects you, makes you feel valued, you want to be close to him. But, that's a conversation for another video. Now, number 6 is problem solving and commitment. Two quick ones. Foreign men tend to be more systematic when problems arise. They research, they plan, they take direct action. Filipino men tend toward bahala na or come what may, especially the young ones, which is beautiful in its resilience, but when something is actually broken, sometimes I need a plan, not a prayer. And talking about commitment, foreign men who relocate or fly here regularly, they've burned ships. They've left their comfort zone, their culture, sometimes their job and family, and that's someone who's all in. Meanwhile, a Filipino man still has exes on his Facebook, his high school crush is in the same building, and a boys will be boys culture around him that quietly permits things he shouldn't. Do foreign men cheat? Of course, but there's less cultural acceptance of it. There's less permission, and that matters. Now, I know what you're thinking. Filipino men can have all of these qualities too. And you're right. They absolutely can. I know them, and they do exist. But those guys, they're usually already taken, snatched up early by Filipinas who recognize their value. Or they're the ones who lived abroad and, unlearned some of the more toxic patterns of traditional Filipino masculinity. Or they're gay. Now, the dating pool is real, and as a Filipina in her early 30s or 20s, the available men are still often figuring life out, fresh out of a relationship, not ready to commit, or already taken. So when a mature, stable, emotionally intelligent foreign man shows genuine interest, can you really blame us? And yes, economic factors are real. The average monthly salary here is around 18,000 pesos. That's about 333 US dollars. And in the US, it's around $4,500, and that's a 13 times difference. We live in a country where one medical emergency can bankrupt a family, where a typhoon can erase everything overnight. So when stability is offered alongside genuine love, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. You can love someone and be grateful they provide security. That's not selling out. That's just being human. Now, quick advice for everyone watching. For Filipinas, vet thoroughly, know your worth, which is the same for you foreign men too. Keep your independence, be honest about your intentions, and learn his culture. And for foreign men, check your motivations, no savior complex, learn the language, understand the family, and of course, be transparent. And for the critics, stop judging relationships you don't understand. If you see a Filipino with a foreign man and your first thought is gold digger, that says more about you than about her. Let people live. At the end of the day, relationships are complicated, messy, and individual. Some Filipinos date foreigners for economic reasons, some for love. Most, both, and that's okay. What matters is this. Does this person treat you well? Do you share the same goals? Do you respect each other? That's it. That's literally all that matters. For me, I found those things with a foreigner. For you, it might be a Filipino, a foreigner, or someone from somewhere completely different. There's no one right way to find love. To the Filipinos watching, don't let anyone make you feel ashamed of who you love. To the foreign men, treat her right. She's not a stereotype. She's a whole person. And to my fellow Filipinos, we need to stop tearing each other down. love is hard enough without the external judgment. And if this resonated with you, thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave your thoughts below. This has been Dee. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Most of these, and here's something I'll just leave. The foreign man and your first. Stop judging